Namaste. My name is Tim Halloran. I'm an astrologer from Savannah, Georgia. This is a weekly forecast that I upload online once a week, and it's coming out a little later than usual this week, yeah. It's taken a couple days for me to get my feet back on the ground. There is a lot of shifting around that is going on this week, and it may have us a little bit overstimulated, confused, not totally sure as we're piecing things back together. Yes, because Cancer season officially began last Sunday, was the summer solstice, and we had the sun move from Gemini into Cancer on Sunday. The moon moved from Leo into Virgo last Sunday, all right, and we're already starting to sense a little bit more. Now Tuesday we had Mercury square to Neptune, and this is probably why I couldn't shoot the video yesterday. It's like I can't think straight. And this is actually the second of 3 squares to Neptune that has happened since May. The first was May 9th, the second was May 29th, and then we had the third and final square to Neptune that happened yesterday, at least until December of this year. Okay, and this square to Mercury, Mercury square to Neptune, this is confusing. This is like our mind is expanding beyond what is known, what is trespassed in the past, what is conceivable. We are very much stepping into the new, the unknown. We are doing so much exploring. New horizons are opening up to us this week. And thus there can be some difficulty getting our feet back on the ground because it's like, what is coming next? I don't know. And we had this Sun-Mars that has been conjunct for the last couple weeks in Gemini. And Mars and the Sun in Gemini is busy, is restless, is energetic, is rational. So many projects to do, so many ideas. Yes, and then over the weekend, actually Monday, we had Jupiter exactly trine to Uranus, and they will remain in trine together all this week. And there is this progressive, forward, expansive learning. Yes, as we said, new horizons that is going on. However, the Sun and Mars moving from Gemini into Cancer now. And Mars actually moved into Cancer this morning. There is this shiftiness that is going on in terms of our extroverted, masculine willpower, what we are doing. The Sun and Mars are our active, extroverted forces, ruling over action, events, what we are doing. It is our energy. And as these planets move into Cancer, it can feel a little bit like, oh, now there's emotions coming into play. Now there's complexity coming into play. Now I'm looking out for just more than my business, my network, my friends, my job. Now it's expanding into family. It's expanding into intimate relationships. Now I'm starting to need more emotional security, more so than just filling out all the little things that I have to do out there in the world. Cancer is introverted. Cancer is our emotional core. How we relate, how we value what is most important to us. And so there is a cultural stereotype that this Cancer energy is, somewhat unfortunate culturally. Because culture just wants you to get stuff done, be busy, don't feel, don't get any more deep with it. You certainly don't need to think any more deeply about life when there's stuff to do and there's money to earn. Yeah, so when Mars moves into Cancer, this can sometimes be troubling for quite a few of us because we're saying, oh no, now there's emotional complexity. Now I'm having to deal with my own sentiments, my own feeling, and this is getting in the way of my work, my job, my duty, my business. And so this is part of the shiftiness and the complexity that's going on this week in the midst of Mercury square to Neptune the last time, which is really a reflection of the last month. Some of the stuff that we were doing during the Mercury retrograde in May, having to do with thinking in new ways. We could have, started projects that then needed to be revised, and now we're sort of completing this revision. Now we're seeing where we need to expand. We are certainly taking things in a new direction this week. That's certainly the Jupiter-Uranus trine. We've got Venus catching up to Jupiter all this week, also trine to Uranus and trine to Pallas Athena. There is this brilliant creativity. And Venus conjunct Jupiter is excited. These two planets are in Leo. There is this very expressive, excited, let's create arts, let's create music, let's show our story, our unique expression with our family, with our friends, with our most intimate relationships. And so this is going on at the same time. And so some of this shiftiness is going on, it's like, I have stuff to do, I have these new projects, I'm very excited about this. And yet there is more that is starting to surface from the depth. Yeah, maybe it's, whether we're traveling around for the 4th of July, Cancer season in July is when we start to contemplate more the past, our family, our deepest emotions. And really, Cancer is emotional intelligence. And we talked about this on the summer solstice. This Gemini-Cancer cusp really ruling emotional intelligence. And we still have carrying over into this week this very brilliant, intelligent, progressive, forward-thinking energy that wants to invent, that wants to create in new ways. And simultaneously, we have coming in Cancer, Leo, our deeper subjective story, our past, and how it is connected to our parents, our sibling, our family. Yes, our closest families, our most intimate relationships. It is about the home. It is about the immediate environment. And during Cancer season, we do investigate some themes having to do with security, as the full moon, which is about a week from today, is going to be in Capricorn. Now we also have Pluto transiting Capricorn for the next 10 years, 13 years, I think, yeah. And this Pluto transiting Capricorn is putting all the more emphasis on the security axis. Pluto transiting Capricorn is transforming, is changing outer security, which is Capricorn. Government, culture, tradition, money systems, school systems, business systems. This is where Pluto is, and Pluto is the planet of evolution and transformation. And Pluto is saying our outer world has become stagnant. We've been doing it the same old way for too long. And it's causing the mass extinction of so many animals of our planet, and it's becoming impossible to sustain ourselves on this planet living culturally, traditionally, the way we have the past 100 years. Now the Pluto polarity point, that's the sign and house opposite of Pluto, is the evolutionary intention coming out of that transformation and evolution. So the transforming of Capricorn, of tradition, of structure, of government, of money, all these things are evolving. What do we need therefore in order to complete this evolution, to move forward successfully, is we need Cancer, which is a different type of security than Capricorn outward structural security. Cancer security is inward emotional security. Cancer security is the security that we initially received from our parents, particularly our mothers, as our mothers are the nurturing, comforting, emotional forces stereotypically, culturally. And guess what? Pluto transiting on this Cancer-Capricorn axis is changing these things. Okay, so this is not going to be the stereotype forever. This was the impermanent stereotype of the past that is now changing, as every single human being on the planet at this time needs more emotional security. We've built all the buildings, all the businesses, we've tore down the rainforest, we've structured, we've built everything, and do we have emotional security? This is why Cancer time is so important and critical. Particularly maybe this year, as we have the moon's nodes. North node is in Libra, square to Cancer. So actually this week, the sun is going to square the moon's nodes. Next week, Mars is going to square the moon's nodes. And then in a couple weeks, these planets oppose Pluto. And we have the full moon next week. That's with Pluto. So there are some very deep emotional stuff that does start bubbling up to the surface at this time. And it does have to do with our deepest connections, our family, and this is where we are practicing emotional intelligence. How can we make our relationships, our home life, our inward security more secured? Irrelevant of money, the outside job, blah, 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 that is irrelevant of the type of security that we are aiming to secure now. We get this inner security by establishing a type of communication that makes us feel safe to express whatever we are going through. Cancer time is where we remember our past. It's relevant to all of us coming out of this past age. It's relevant to the collective human history coming out of a patriarchal age where the feminine energy, particularly Cancer, was suppressed. In which case we all have emotional desires, inward desires that need to be expressed. Okay, and this plays out in so many ways. For men, it can be, I am a man and we aren't taught to communicate emotionally. We're taught to communicate like a hard ass. And you know what? I want to develop a closer relationship with my friends, my partner, my father. Yes. And this is a paradigm shifter. This is requiring us to go inside, to dig up these ancient things, and to realize where the emotional insufficiencies are. And go there. Address those things. Do Pluto and Capricorn and change them. Change the structure, the tradition. Maybe your family did the same thing forever. Oh, that's just how they are. My family has this tradition, and every single time you go to their house, this is how it is, and it's just expected to do that. And is it giving us emotional security, or is it bothering us? Is it causing some kind of, I don't know. Something in that feels unhealthy. Something feels strange. In which case we need to change that tradition, change that expectation, that obligation, that outer structure. We are changing those things to allow for increased emotional security. Now there is a negative side to Cancer, the way there is a negative side to any sign. And I'm typically a defender of Cancer because I see Cancer as being basically misunderstood and oppressed for a long time, the way generally and arguably the feminine earth and water signs have been. Okay, but there is a negative side to it. The negative side is that we get too stuck. You get catatonic if you're weighed down by too much emotions and you don't do anything about it, which is why emotional intelligence is practicing doing something about your emotions. You're communicating your emotions, which means you're expressing it, which means you're releasing it. And then somebody else hears it and addresses it, and then things change. Evolution happens. That's emotional intelligence. When we get stuck in our feelings, and now Mars moves into Cancer, Sun moves into Cancer, oh, I have so much to do, so many things to do, I have so much creativity, and frustration can't happen. Because I have emotions that are getting in the way. I feel sad, I feel weighed down, somebody hurt my feelings, my family hurt my feelings, blah, 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 whatever. It's very easy to feel frustrated. Venus and Jupiter are conjunct in Leo. There is a huge amount of sexual creative energy that is building up, and yet emotions come into play. This is a paradigm shifter. Yeah? There's this really, really horrible invention that became all pervasive when I was growing up called online pornography. And it's this concept that you can fulfill your sexual desires with zero emotional anything. Yeah, there's no intimacy, there's no emotions. That's what pornography is. And pornography is inherently delusional because that's not how life works. So if we try to do creativity without emotions, or we do emotions without doing anything about it or speaking about it, neither is really helpful. Either you're going to get frustrated because all that energy builds up and then it becomes unrealistic and ungrounded, and then it just gets delusional. Like, I have so many great ideas, so many things I want to do. This is creative sexual energy. So many children, physical or idealistic, that I want to conceive, yes? But then these emotions come in and I have to start dealing with another human being, and it becomes all intimate and complicated, and yes, it does. That's a part of it. You can't just skip it without paying some serious penalties down the line. So emotional intelligence is very much what we need. And we do need to make sure that we don't just couch potato either, yeah. That's the propensity this next month, is so much emotion, so much overweight, and we become catatonic. And it's just like, yeah, I got a lot of projects to do, but you know what? I'm just gonna TV dinner it tonight, I'm not gonna go outside. And the next day comes in, yeah, well, I'm still feeling this way, so I'm gonna TV dinner again. And it's never going to change so long as we handle it that way. The healthy means is to extend out towards other people. Offer our own gentleness, our own compassion, our own guidance to other people, and also make sure that we're reaching out to other people for the same thing. Cancer time is really about restoring the matriarchy. And how we need to restore the matriarchy is the sense of family. We don't have a sense of family within the human species anymore, when we used to. You can still visit tribes in Africa and South America, and you see these tribes, and the tribe is the family. There's no nuclear families. Your tribe is your family. This is how humanity used to be, is that the human species was one family, and that was during the matriarchy. So we're trying to restore this feeling of family, that it's safe for you to open up. Yes, you're allowed to feel negative things, But you don't just go off. See, that's what the patriarchy encouraged. And then the patriarchy stereotypes Cancer and says, oh yeah, Cancer, you know, the type that likes to lock themselves in the room and cry. No, that's not what natural Cancer is. That's what Cancer is in a patriarchal culture that does not understand Cancer. Because when nobody understands Cancer and says, quit your whining, quit your emotions, get a job, get busy, that person is going to lock themselves in their room and cry. So that's not natural Cancer. That's how Cancer handles itself in a patriarchal paradigm that we need to change. We need to bring that energy into culture. You're allowed to cry here. It's okay. If you need to take the day off and emotionally vent, that is healthy. Yeah. Cancer sensitivity means it is healthy to feel. Even if your sensitivity seems to be counterproductive sometimes, it's okay. We need that sensitivity more than we need to ignore that sensitivity, particularly in this day and age. Now that being said, we do have Venus coming up to Jupiter. Yeah, and Venus is going to be with Jupiter for the next month. And that's really remarkable. The two planets are in Leo. They are excited. They are creative. They want to express. They want to do so much art. It's sexual freedom and all of this. And Venus has also just entered her shadow zone. Venus is going to turn retrograde a month from now, retrograde the entire month of August, and then turn direct mid-September, the same time Saturn re-enters Sagittarius. So we have a lot to do pretty much from now through September that does have to do with our most intimate, complicated relationships and how we are referring to these things. And it can be sexual, yes, Scorpio, Leo, these are very sexual signs. That's why I mentioned the pornography. There's a lot of sexual transformation and evolution that's also needed so much at this time for individuals like ourselves, okay? Because we want more intimacy, we want more emotional proximity, and yet we are not taught culturally how to get that. Which is why we have unfortunate things like pornography, and pornography captures the souls of many, many unfortunate men who do not know how to get soft, intimate safety. Cancer, I feel close. I feel allowed to open up and express my softness, my weakness, my insecurities. Men are not given permission to do this except through sex, which is why men get addicted to sex, men get addicted to pornography. Fortunately for us, Venus is going to be going retrograde through Leo, and Saturn's going to be in Scorpio for the next 3 months, which means that we have the capacity to deal and confront with these things. So you can check in your own chart, you can check Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio. For these are the signs that are going to be either conjuncting, opposing, or squaring during this Venus retrograde. You can also check the fire signs, and Venus will be harmoniously aspecting these parts of your chart. Those are going to be the parts of your chart that are being reviewed, that are going to be studied, that are going to be scrutinized during this Venus retrograde, as we get very deep into the potential of what our individual creative expression is. What is our sexual expression? How can we use it in the best possible way? How can we take sexual energy and we can transmute this into inventiveness, into creation, into moving forward in a positive way? And I think that we have true capacity to do this in a very powerful way, so long as we are not rejecting one side or the other. We need to be, passionate about our individual passions, our, what excites us, our personal history, our personal story, our own unique creative gifts. That's very important. But we need to merge these with others. We need to merge these with family. We need to merge these with tradition. These things cannot exist outside of tradition and family and culture. Otherwise, we're bipolar all the time. We go work on our job, then we go home and be with the family. Then we work on our job and we go home and be with family. And the two worlds never meet, which is unhealthy. And it leads to frustration. It leads to interference. I got to work now, and now my family's coming and showing up. I have all this creativity now, and now my family's showing up and interfering. Or now I have all these emotions, and I don't want to do work right now. And it's like, yes, because we haven't bridged these two yet. This is the goal, and where all of us as a collective are working right now with Pluto transiting Capricorn. Okay? So, You know, there is a lot of magic that can happen. This is a very magical week. There's a lot of potential for some very magical things to happen. I encourage you to go out and do something different. Go on an adventure this week. Go exploring, you know. Go on your own and do something differently. Visit some people that you normally wouldn't see. Speak to some people you normally wouldn't speak to. This is the week to go beyond, to stretch out beyond our horizons. And then so much evolution and learning can take place that's really going to take us through September, into this next phase. So, you know, in conclusion, since March of this year, okay, this was the spring equinox. That's when we had Aries time. We were all focused on our individuality, pioneering, way paving. Then it moved into Taurus season in May. And this is when we had, you know, resources and gathering our own security and everything, making sure that everything's secure. We have enough money, we have enough resources, food, etc. We're comfortable. Then it moved into Gemini in June time, and this is when we were networking, reaching out. So many people to, you know, bring into our network to communicate with so many ideas and brilliance and expanding philosophy, communicating philosophy. This is all the first 3 signs of the zodiac, the first quarter of the zodiac. On the summer solstice, we reach this critical point on the cardinal cross. And now we have initiated that point, and we're moving into the second quarter of the zodiac that has to do with others. It's no longer just our project, our job, our ideas, our money, our assets. It includes other people now. It gets more complicated now. Now we deal with family, our blood lineages, our traditions, our culture, our friends. Yes, this is where things start to turn inward, but also dealing with our inward need to be carried, to have an emotional platform, a family, a tribe. So let us set forth and do our adventuring and our horizon expanding as we look for our tribe and we reunite our tribe and we bring each other back into our emotional core through emotional intelligence, so we can all be right on the same line, on the dot, with what we know is most important, and we can support one another in this endeavor. No more bipolar disorder. We're all in this together. All right? So I wish all the best to all of you in this endeavor. I thank all of you who partook in the summer solstice. I got way more of a turnout than I expected. So I spent the last couple days going through all the surveys, the information, sending all the emails. I do not have a secretary, so it takes me quite a lot of time, and I certainly have enough work cut out for me for the rest of summer. So I appreciate, for those of you who bought charts, for your patience, and I look forward to speaking to you all. And for all of you who watch this, thank you so much, and thank you for your comments every week. And it's been, you know, doing these videos has been a paradigm shifter for me. So I thank you all so much, and I look forward to continuing to work with you all. Namaste.